Monsterverse inverse debating has became much more popular now, especially with the new recent stuff with legacy at monsters and stuff. Yeah, and usually when new stuff come out, apes like to get all hyper about stuff and over exaggerate stupid shit like GXK agenda just because he's a new sparkly, new more glow, more new cool, new bigger, blah blah blah, and like people like over exaggerate that and like to say like it's way stronger now, blah blah blah. They just wanna go for the agenda and stuff. So yeah, and the question I wanted to go over today is this like really true, which yeah, it's probably not, which I'll be going over today. People usually like to interfere how like weak the other stuff is and like how much stronger, even though there's like no way to prove this. So yeah, let's start off. So, just in reference, a lot of people like the misconcept of M.U.T.Os. Like, they usually just say, oh, they got loaded by G14. By the way, this is not a 1v1. This is obviously a 2v1. So, just to get that out of clarification. But I will be going over their 1v1 edge-on scaling as well. So, first, the female M.U.T.O. Godzilla uses both of his arms to grapple her and push her up. And overpowers her pretty easily as well. And I don't really want to hear any ape shit like he no-diffed her. He clearly didn't no-diff her. He's clearly, like, moaning and struggling, facial expressions, etc., etc. She also stops in the building. So, yeah, no, he's not no-diffing her, bro. I don't know what idiotic claim that is. That's just ape shit. After this, Godzilla hits the female M.U.T.O with the atomic breath. She tanks it, but then eventually gets hit by it again and then knocked out. So, the atomic breath does somewhat scale decently above her. Also, according to the novel, the female M.U.T.O actually bites Godzilla so badly, he tries in a desperation, like clawing, biting, etc., just to get her off of him. Not to mention, not only does she tank the tail swipe, she also tanks the dorsal plate on top of it, since we see scratch marks from that as well. So, yeah, she's really durable. She's actually more durable than the base axe. He also takes a stomp and doesn't really take any damage from it. So, yeah, that too. But besides that ape shit, we get on to the other stuff, which when he fights the male M.U.T.O, the male M.U.T.O is constantly able to speed blitz Godzilla, and obviously both of them can clear really deep wounds into him with their claws. They make him spew blood out everywhere, and through the novel it actually states that they reach to his bone. You could proclaim is true because number one, nothing really contradicts it, and number two, when the charged axe hits Godzilla, it doesn't like make him spew blood out everywhere, and when they do it, they can. So yeah, their claws are wicked strong. G14 also can't really tag the M.U.T.O. Now I'll get on to the M.U.T.O's other fight scene, which a lot of other dumb shit people like to proclaim, like how he got one shot by the doors, like the tail swipe. He didn't really physically get harmed by the tail swipe. He more just gets splat onto the building and his stomach cut open by the dorsal plate. He doesn't die to the physical tail swipe. Nothing really shows any connection or correlation between G14 or Godzilla ever hitting any other Titan with the dorsal plate and cutting it apart. So like I don't really get how that's a downscale. Unless you could show something like Scar King or whatever getting hit by a dorsal plate, not getting pierced by it, and that same momentum in turn, then I guess. But yeah, that's not really a downscale. I don't know, that really doesn't mean anything. I feel like people just ignore all the bites and the scratches. It even got trying to rip the M.U.T.O apart as well. Though he still kind of like overpowers with him. I'm not going to be like disingenuous. The M.U.T.O only really gets Godzilla because of his speed. Like, he definitely he does good against him. Otherwise, he's like a Mothra or like a Rodan victim. Now for the chain scaling between G19 and G14. Now this is where people like to become like retarded and stuff and say idiotic stuff like G14's like Dominion level, etc, etc, etc. And it's due to like some stuff like the Scylla and the Queen M.U.T.O. First of all, you would need to prove the Queen M.U.T.O that was evolved from the females equal to the ones in 2014. Also, this entire thing isn't in conjunction to them being on the same levels, in conjunction to who lost to who. As we see, Rodan loses to Ghidorah. Methuselah would lose to Ghidorah. Doesn't mean Rodan and Methuselah are on the same level. Nothing says this. Same thing. Scylla lost to Methuselah. The Queen M.U.T.O lost to Methuselah. So, yeah, it doesn't mean anything. Stuff like speed just doesn't matter at all. Like VFX, just appealing off of visuals. That doesn't really mean anything. Also, it's not like G14 is the slowest thing in the world. Yeah, stuff like G24 can move faster than evolved. Like, doesn't mean he's stronger. But either way, even if you are able to argue, you need to still prove that this even if you do argue against the visual effects stuff, you still need to prove like this concept of speed is going to be equated to power and stuff. Now we get on to the real stuff, like the statements and the quantifications, etc., etc., etc. The problem with my calc before of D14's size and weight is that Godzilla also gets stronger through radiation. The problem is the question still isn't really answered. There's no real way to quantify this energy, and all the other stuff that I just said earlier, like the counter arguments, are just like terrible to prove otherwise. We do know Godzilla is a lot more bulkier, so it should be like probably, if I'm going to give like a quantification, probably like the percent of G19, maybe like 80. It's not like a huge difference. His arms are just bulked up, and he's just like a little larger and stuff. I also like to mention like stuff like the dorsal plates. Even still, they're not like massively bigger than it's not like G19's dorsals are like massively bigger or anything. So we do know G14 can store enough energy to beat stuff like Shimu and Ghidorah, while supercharged, of course. There is a scan that does say, one scan in particular, that the M.U.T.Os weaken Godzilla through their EMPs. The problem is, of course, I'm going to say this again. Number one, there's not really a quantification. There's a lot of other stuff that, like novels and stuff that imply that it just mainly turns off with atomic breath. And when asked the question about, like, what it mainly does, since there's confusion in the novel, it says that it can weaken any Titan and it stuns them as well. And it neutralizes their atomic breath for a time. That probably explains why Godzilla wasn't really spamming it in the sky throughout the entire movie. So yeah, G14 is above EMP nerf G14, even if it really exists. G14 would scale above the EMP nerf G14, which would G19 would scale above, which would solidify a somewhat decent gap. But since their EMPs would weaken G19 in the first place, it wouldn't really mean that much. It would still kind of just mean a similar thing, but the problem with this is like G19 is stated to have better combat experience, etc., which could actually help him aid in battle. And another thing is, due to G19 having like shoulders and stuff, he can actually grab the male M.U.T.O, which G14 wasn't able to do, which should actually solidify a reason why G19 actually could win, which is actually one of the reasons why I think G19 would win. Not only can G19 pull in an atomic breath, a stronger one, and probably one-shot one of the M.U.T.Os, he can also catch the male M.U.T.O much more easily. Due to the size of his shoulders and stuff, he could probably grab him and like run away while the female M.U.T.O tries to get up. And it's not like, I know I said this earlier, but it's not like G19's like the same speed as G14. He's obviously faster due to him working out and getting stronger, etc., etc., etc. So he could actually grab the M.U.T.O and probably run away, try and kill him quickly, and come back and kill the female M.U.T.O. Also, not to mention, he kind of had like a little bit of an environmental advantage. The M.U.T.Os kind of had like an environmental advantage as well, because they kept pushing him in the buildings. It was much more harder for G14 to get out of, and it would obviously overwhelm him as well. Before I wrap this video, I did also forget another thing, the hibernation argument. Nothing really says G14 was in hibernation. He was only hibernating for like, I don't know, 50 years. It shouldn't really be to the quantification between weakened Ghidorah and weakened M.U.T.O Prime, since they're hibernating for 1,000 years, while G14 was only hibernating for like 50 years. So yeah, no, this doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't mean he's weak or fodder or anything. I don't want to hear that anymore as well. That's stupid and retarded. But besides for that, now we really get to the fight, which I generally feel like G19 would high def due to my reasons I previously said before. He just has better combat experience. His corporeal build is also better, which he's able to uphold leverage and be able to catch opponents that he wasn't really able to before. I definitely do think this fight is close, and the M.U.T.Os are way stronger than whatever people like to claim they are. Like, people try and say they're like Scylla tier, and that like they would lose to like Scar King or fodder like Mecha, which clearly isn't true. I have seen a few friends of mine actually say like the M.U.T.Os are like strong. I've seen some of it, but it's mainly because of me, and they like to glaze it to like above Ghidorah. Guys, that is not true. Stop saying that. The M.U.T.Os they're not like weak and fodder, but they're not beating Ghidorah and Shimu and stuff. But anyways, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, my re-uploads. Next week, I'm going to be doing a video on Titan X. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like and subscribe, and please share this video. But yeah, I'll see you guys later.